Hello and welcome back to Ready Steady Play, everyone. We were just waiting for Bonbon to make her way away, but she's decided to stay. So we're doing Anunnaki. It's the solo mode. This is a 4X fantasy game, fantasy sci-fi type game, in which it imagines a world where the pantheons, the mythology of ancient cultures are real and space aliens, and they're coming to Earth to conquer it, I suppose. Or some planet called Gaia, which is Earth, in the game. And you'll see that in just a minute. It appears as a dudes on a map game, but it's actually very Euroified, and it's got a lot of Euro type mechanisms. The game was published through crowdfunding. It was published by Cranio Creations. The crowdfunding campaign was run by Cranio Creations. It is designed by Danilo Sabia, who is a designer that has a few credits to his name. He published a game called Wendake in 2018, and then the year that this actually came out, 2023, this year, he also published a game called Rats of Wistar, which is a co-design with Simone Luciani, who also co-designed this. And Luciani has a huge number of games to his name, so a very prolific designer there. It's also got illustrations by Yara Zambrano and Paolo Vincenzi. So it is, as I mentioned, a Cranio Creations Kickstarter. This is the Kickstarter edition that I'm playing today. There's a huge number of expansions in the box, but we're not actually playing with anything that is not available, I think, in the retail edition. I don't know if there's maybe upgraded components or something like that, but really what we're focusing on here is the retail edition and the solo mode. So we're going to be playing the solo mode, which manifests as a 2-player game, and I've got it set up on the table here. I'm going to be playing as the Greeks, the Greek gods. So I've got my minor gods here, and I've got my major god over here. So this is Zeus, and he's my main guy. And then we've got Hermes as well, and these are figures that are going to come out during the game if we can amass enough of these little followers. And we've also got Hera. The minor gods that you use here actually in your pantheon are somewhat randomized. There's more than 5, but you're dealt 5 during setup, and then you pick 4. We've got Athena as well, and I can run through their abilities once I've had a chance to explain a little bit about how the rules work. And this is Ares as well, so we've got Ares here too. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to be populating our homeworld over here and trying to build up our power and our resources and things. And then once we've got a little bit more strength, we can expand out to maybe our enemy's homeworld over here, or Gaia, this world here in the middle, which is, of course, Earth. Sort of. With Atlantis here in the middle, actually. You can see this continent of Atlantis, which has its own army. More about that later. We've also got over here the AI and the AI components, as you can see, massively stripped down. Not a massive player board like the human players. We've got their god, which is RAI, I think, but Ra is not got any special powers because Ra is AI. The only thing that sort of gives the Egyptian gods any power in this one is their special fate card set up here. And the way the game works is that we're going to be playing in rounds, and you would normally have a first player, but in the solo mode, the human player always starts, and then there's 2 endgame conditions, same in solo and full play, that are triggered. And when the endgame triggers, then in a normal game you would complete the round, so the first player, you'd go up until everyone had had an equal number of turns. But in the solo mode, whichever person triggers the end, whether it's the AI or the human player, then the other person gets 1 more turn and then it's over. So the end game is triggered, when you either place all of these summoning cubes onto your board. So we're going to learn all about this summoning circle in just a minute, and all these summoning cubes are going to come down here. And that's one endgame trigger. The other endgame trigger is if you get one of your little technology tokens here, or your sort of research tokens all the way to the end of this track. If you hit the end of one of these tracks, that also triggers endgame. Any player can do that, either of these. So the AI also has some tokens here, but they don't have the giant action star because they don't do actions like a human player, but these will come out here like this to mimic the same kind of situation. So we will have a ticking clock over here on the AI's side as well. And it is a 4X game, or at least it's sort of it draws on those principles. So you've got the 4X's, of course, being expand, exploit, explore, and exterminate. Fun that none of them are actually X's. And what we've got going on here is you can see we've got this army of little guys here, our followers, and they're going to spread out, hence expand and explore. And over the course of the game, they're going to be summoning our minor gods and our major god onto the board there to help. We've got, you can see here, these settlements that we're building. We've got little soldiers here, and each of these regions, hexagonal regions on the board here, has a resource in it. And so this one's gold, for example. I'll show you the resources in just a minute, but that's where we're going to be exploiting the resources from these situations here in order to continue to expand. And exploration largely comes in the form of these culture tokens here that are on the planets. So you can see one of these has been revealed, and it shows a advanced combat card. More on that in a minute. But there's all manner of different rewards on the underside of these, and if you get adjacent to them, they're flipped face up so you can see what they are. And if you manage to occupy all 3 hexes around it, you can collect it. That's the exploration part. You will also be able to fight these ancient civilizations here. So these tokens have armies underneath that we'll be able to do battle with. And you can see that there is one on the AI's board as well, and also a big bad one here in the middle of Atlantis, which has this little god token here that expands the power of the army. So that's the exploration part, flipping over these tokens and discovering what's going on. We've got 3 more culture tokens as well around Atlantis in the center here. And then we've got exterminate, which is going to come in the form of combat. Combat is determined using advanced combat cards. There's a deck of them here, and they're red. And then we've got 2 default combat cards over here, which are blue. But these can only be used in defense. So if you want to attack other players, you need to unlock these advanced combat cards. More on how to do that later. So that's... and then, we're just going to be moving around, and we're going to be teleporting across the world, hence expand. So that's where the sort of the principles come in, and we're going to be doing all of this using our action wheel here. So on a player's turn, they're going to follow this little chart, and if you're playing with human players, the turns will just go around in clockwise order from the first player, with everyone going through these 5 steps on each of their turns, and then the turn moves on, and it just continues until someone triggers one of the endgame conditions. In the solo mode, it's largely the same thing, except only I follow this chart, and the AI does its own thing. So we can see here the 5 steps. I mean, we could if it would focus for me. You can focus. So the first step is the star. So that's this action wheel that you see here in the background. Bonbon just causing anarchy. Maybe she wants to go out. I'll check on her in a minute. But what we've got here are the main actions in the game. So you can see that there are 6 blue ones. And okay, bear with me. Just need to check on the camera. So, what you've got here are your 6 blue actions and 4 red actions, and their position within the action star here has been randomly determined. But your first job will be picking one of those actions or the first step of the round is picking an action. And I'll explain that in just a minute. Your second step is going to be a mana action. So you're going to spend these precious mana stones that you've got here on your board in order to take an action from this menu here of mana actions. And these are fixed, but they are optional, and you will possibly quite often be unable to afford them. And then the third step, which is the tick, is called an additional action, and that's one of these two down here. So your first one is summon the gods. So this is if you've managed to unlock any of your minor gods or major god here, then you can summon one of them to the board. So if you happen to unlock two at once, you can only put one of them out, but you'll have to wait till next turn to put the other one out. And then you've got down here this fulfill a contract. So over here on this board in the middle here, we've got these contracts which we can collect, and then optionally you can fulfill one during that stage. So this just lets you fulfill one contract that you've managed to complete. So again, if you've done two and you've got two completed contracts, you'll have to choose which to turn in and wait to turn in the other later. So you're going to earn victory points in the game from doing all kinds of things. There's victory points all over the place. You're going to get victory points from... The main actual source of victory points really are these tracks here. So there are 4 goal tokens here, and these are kind of representing the 4 things you want to be doing in the game anyway. And their positions on the 3 tracks and the 4th bottom track have been randomized. So you can see there's one here as well, and they're all put out randomly during setup. And this one wants you to have people on the map. So the more followers and gods you get onto the map, the more points you'll get here. This one here wants you to have occupied territories on the map, and you'll never coexist with someone. A conflict will always be resolved by the end of a turn, so there's always going to be someone who's definitively in control of a territory. And then down here, this one wants you to control shrines. There are these shrine symbols in certain territories on the board. There's 2 on each player's home planet, and there's also 2 in the center of Gaia, which is the home planet here. So there's a potential of 6 available there if you manage to control those, and this is going to act as a multiplier for this track, or more on that in just a minute. And this one down here wants you to build your settlements. So as you put out these settlements from your player board, and of course you start with 1, you're going to be able to manipulate this bottom track. But the bottom one is different, and I'll explain, because these have these little multipliers down here. So it's probably a bit hard to see on the camera from this distance, but you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and these are multipliers. So this is looking at all the figures you have on the map, divide by 3, and then multiply by the multiplier. So if you make it all the way to the end, and you've got 9 people on the board at the end of the game, and that's 3 times 5 for 15 points. And so forth. So this one's looking at every 2 territories you control with the same set of multipliers. All the shrines you control, maximum of 5. It says at the bottom here, a little caveat. If you somehow manage to get all 6, which would be quite impressive, you actually only have 5. But again, you've got your multiplier down here. And then this track works a little differently. This is called the domination track, and you've got -8 down here. So you start on -8 victory points, and what you want to do is try to advance up this track to get to the blue zone where they start to turn positive. And the big deal here is that the lightning bolt is a gateway. So you have to actually reach 1 point down here before you can advance into the final position here. So that just means that you can only max out this track up until this position without passing the lightning bolt. So you get up here, and now you can finally advance up here. This is kind of like to make sure, I guess, nobody ends the game too quickly without progressing this track. And the way you're going to progress this track is by taking an action on your player board, and that action is going to give you steps on the track based on this criteria. So that is settlements. So the more settlements you have, the more steps you can take every time you use that action. There are, of course, many ways to do things in this game, many ways to access bonus actions and different actions in the game, but the main way that you're expected to advance up here is through the use of the domination track action. So that's the big bulkier points here. There's also 4 points awarded to the person who's furthest up each track, and 2 points awarded to second place. So there's also additional points. So huge chunks of points coming from these tracks. But you can also get quite a lot of points during the game. Those culture tokens occasionally have points on. All the little shields here on this domination track give you points during the game. There is a very small amount of points for leftover resources at the end as well. And occasionally you'll find maybe one of your minor god cards has a points criteria on it. The minor gods actually have 3 different types of special abilities. One of which is this. It'll show this endgame symbol, and then it will have an endgame scoring criteria on it. So if you're able to summon Ares, then you'll get 2 points at the end of the game for every ancient civilization token that you've collected. So there's only 3 on the board here, so not a lot of points available, and you're going to have to race to do that. There's also points on these contracts, which you'll get when you complete them, so that's just another way to get points during the game. You can see down there 3 points if you turn this contract in. And I think that's mostly it for where we're getting points. Oh no, the combat cards. Every time you win a combat, you get the points shown on the combat card. And so, for example, if you win a combat using this short bow, you'll get 3 points as well. So points for winning combats in addition. And we can actually see as well here on Ares that all of the gods, the minor gods, have step-ups on those tracks as well. So for example, when you summon Ares, in addition to being able to replace one of your followers with the minor god figure, more on that in a minute, you'll also be able to step up the war track, which is shown in the center bottom there. So each minor god will have a different track that's available, but that just gives you a step up here. So that's one of the ways in which you can step up the war track. Other ways to step up the war track basically are, for the war track, it's going to war. So each of these tracks represents a different sort of function of our civilization. The domination track I've explained is actually tied into that domination action, but these other 3 tracks are war, technology, and trade. And so we step up the war track primarily by playing, again, these combat cards. So you can see this is actually a step up the war track and 3 points. And it's got a combat strength of 3 on the short bow, and that's all it does. But these get slightly more complex as you progress. So this one here is worth more, the Warhammer. It's actually weaker than the short bow, but it's also worth more points and more steps on the war track. So there's a little bit of sort of cat and mouse here. You've got 2 iron to play this card, so you actually have to pay resources to play this card, unlike the short bow. And then occasionally you'll find one with a special ability on it here. So the spear lets you ignore your opponent's strongest unit. So that takes that out of the battle. That's quite useful. And then over here on the ballista, you've actually got a symbol that means gods. So this refers to the minor and major gods. So all of their strength becomes 1. More on strength in just a minute. But that's how you're gonna advance up that war track, is by playing these cards in combat. So you're gonna want to resolve a lot of combats if that's your plan. You've also got down here the technology track, and if you look over here at our action tiles, these are all representing the different things we can do, but what we can do is we can actually upgrade them using one of the minor actions over here. And when we upgrade the token, we take it and we flip it over. So it's got a little symbol there that says you can flip it over. So this is the movement action. It's got 2 move on it. When you upgrade it, it's got 4, and it's also got that technology symbol there as well on the bottom. I should have picked a red one. The red ones, some of them are similar. Here's a red movement token. So this is just better than the blue movement token. The red ones are just better than the blue ones. This lets you move 3 inherently, but to upgrade it, in addition to the normal cost of upgrading a tile, it costs an additional wooden iron. That's what it's telling you at the bottom there. And then when you upgrade it, you get 5 movement, and you also can have 2 step-ups, the technology track. Bon. She's being a right terror tonight. So that's how we're going to step up on the technology track, is by upgrading those action tokens. And of course they have the additional benefits of she just wants something out the garbage bin. She's literally just coming in and putting her head in the garbage. Yeah, what do you want? You're such a little garbage fiend. You're so well fed. I don't know. I don't know. So, distracting my rules teacher. Okay, so that's the technology track. And the bartering track, in case you hadn't sussed it, is basically by completing these contracts here. So you can see in the bottom right corner, there's the bartering symbol. And then every time you turn in a contract, you'll get one or more step-ups on the bartering track, with the red ones typically being a bit harder and a bit higher. That's 2 steps there. So we have 4 main resources in the game, and then 1 additional resource. So we're paying for all of these things with these 4 resources that you can see here. So we've got food, iron, gold, and wood. And then we also have these mana stones here. And so the mana stones are very useful because they allow us to take these mana actions, some of which cannot be replicated on this board. So what we've got are the... I should have got another player board out. Can I reach it? So what we've got here are the mana actions. So this one here is... these 2 are actually take an action that's shown on your main board. This one down here is get those advanced combat cards. This is the main way to do it. This one down here is upgrade your actions. This is the main way to do that. Build a settlement. And this is the main way to build settlements. And then down here, get more followers. And this is one of many ways to get followers. So those are your mana actions. The mana lets you do that. So we're going to get mana, and we're going to take our actions primarily using the actions on the main board here. And so what we've got here is the action wheel. And you can see that it's a star within a ring, and all of our action tokens exist within it. And we've got this little pawn here, and this pawn will be placed on the action we're doing. So let's say we decide we want to take this action here. We put the pawn down on it. We resolve the action. Simple enough. The next turn, we can jump the pawn to any other action that we want. So we can jump it over here. We take the portal action. Again, simple enough. Now, where the catch comes in is if we move the pawn to an action adjacent to the last one we took, we get to take one of our summoning cubes and put it down on the track. Now, there's one immediate benefit to this, which is if we cover up a mana stone, we get that mana. So we can put that up here, and now we've got extra mana to spend on the actions over here, which is great. There's 2 mana stones available on the outside ring, 1 on these stems here, and none on the inner circle. Now the reason for that is the other advantage of the summoning stones are they let us summon the gods. So you can see these little triangles that exist in the points on the star. They're used for summoning the minor gods. So there's 5 of them around the outside, and only 4 minor gods. So we understand we don't need to get all of them. And then there's your major god here in the center. And so, in order to be able to summon one of these gods, which we can remember we do over here with this additional action, we need to completely surround it. So once it's totally surrounded with the summoning cubes, then when we get to those additional actions, we can take the little paper token here, and we can use it to summon one of the gods. So what we'll do is we'll pick the god that we want, choosing the ability and also gaining the advancement on the track here, and we'll put the paper token down here to show that we've summoned that god. And then the god will appear on the board, replacing one of our followers. So we'll take a follower off the board as the follower becomes the host for the god. The exact same thing happens with our main god, but we must complete the entire inner circle of the star in order to unlock our main god. And of course, you will have noticed as well as we go through the summoning cubes, putting them out here, this is going to accelerate the end game. Heger's pointing out that this is a big box. Yeah, it is a big box. It's the Kickstarter box. So there's 3 expansions in here, two or three expansions. I'm not showing off any of that content. One of them's called Distant Worlds, and it adds more maps to the game, and the other is called Origins, which actually adds linked scenarios to form a sort of campaign thing. Bonbon's now just sitting in the bin. I wish I could show you guys. Hang on. Why have you gotten in the bin? Why have you done this? What's wrong with you? You've completely derailed everything. Did you get what you wanted? Did you get what you wanted? You happy? Are you gonna jump onto the board and ruin my life? I don't know what's going on with her today. Actually, reasonably non-destructive. Sorry, everyone. Back to this. Right. So, this is sort of the core here of this action selection mechanism, right? What we're doing is we're picking the actions we want, but ideally we'd like to move along these lines to unlock the gods, and also in a way that gets us mana stones too. But of course, the best way to get mana stones is around the outside circle, which doesn't actually help us unlock any gods at all. And to get our most powerful god, we've got to move around the inside, which doesn't give us any mana stones. So therein is the dilemma of the action selection mechanism. But it's important to note two things. One is that you can go to any action you want. The only rule is that you can't stay on the action you used last turn. The second thing is as we take these mana actions over here. So the second step of your turn, this one here lets you retake an action, so you spend 3 mana stones to get a red action. You just can't take a red action that your pawn is on. Over here you can spend 2 mana stones to take any blue action. Again, just one that your pawn is not on. And this one here lets you upgrade an action, but the action you upgrade must be one that is not under your pawn, but is adjacent to it. So using this action here, I could spend the mana stone and 2 gold to upgrade the portal action, the movement action, or the contract action, and I could spend an additional wood and iron if I wanted to upgrade the domination action over here. So that's how additional considerations. And then we understand these. This is just pay a mana and 2 wood to place a settlement, pay a mana and 2 food to gain 3 followers. And so what we've got here are the core actions. They're fairly straightforward, actually. You've got the contract action. This just lets you take a contract from the offering. Simple as that. And you know, when you mostly when you upgrade it, it just increases the values. So you upgrade it, you get to take 2 contracts instead. And what's worth noting about upgrading it, as soon as you upgrade something, you take the action again. So when you upgrade the contract action, you get to take 2 contracts right away. So that could be pretty potent, remembering that you're restricted to stuff adjacent to the pawn. You've got over here movement actions. In this game, they've come out next to each other, so that's an interesting dynamic. But you'll just get more steps when you upgrade those. And movement is simply take your any of your pieces anywhere and move them into an adjacent territory. So with 3 steps, you could move one guy 2 spaces actually on this planet. I mean, he could go 3, but it would be a waste. He can reach anywhere in 2 steps. They can't cross planets, so you're just moving pieces you've already got on the board to adjacent hexes. So you can move 1 guy 3 or 3 guys 1, however you want to mix that up to suit you. Then you've got down here the portal action. This is the same kind of thing. It's movement, except that the catch is that you can move 1 piece from 1 territory to any other territory on the board, with 2 exceptions. So that's how you're going to get across the different planets, is with this teleport action. And that'll let you move the gods as well as the followers. The only caveat is that you cannot teleport into people's home territories. So everyone starts with a home territory, which you know is their home territory because it's on their home world, and it's the bottom space, and it's got this gold ring around the resource. So teleport lets you go anywhere except for an opponent's capital, and also this Atlantis space here. You have to walk into the Atlantis space from either here or here, because you can't cross the solid white borders either. So it's just a bit more difficult to access that. You have to teleport to Atlantis and then walk into Atlantis if you want to have a go at doing that. Anyway, so that's the portal action. That's how basically we travel from planet to planet. Of course, you can teleport around the same planet, but, you know, see, it feels like a bit of a waste. Down here, you've got the two exploit actions. This is gather resources. And the red one's just slightly better than the blue one. Again, they're next to each other, which is really odd. That's just part of the random setup. In a game with multiple players, one player would randomize their tokens and then everyone else would mimic it. So you'd all have the same token setup. You just randomize it once. Anyway, when you take resources, it's really simple. What you're going to do is you're going to look at the icon and then take that resource. So here, if I were to gather resources, I'd get 1 wood. Now, in my capital, there'll always be a wood available. It will never exhaust. But let's pretend I have a guy over here. Now I've got 1 soldier in the land with 2 gold. If I take a exploit action in there, what's going to happen is I'm going to get 1 gold because I only have 1 soldier. There are 2 gold available, and if I have 2 soldiers, I get 2 gold. So it's resources up to the strength of your army, which for followers is 1. So that's a strength 2 army, and this is a strength 3 army. But it's up to either the maximum strength of your army or the total number of resources. So now I have a strength 3 army in here, but I'm still getting 2 gold if I exploit this land. And then regardless of how much gold I get, it doesn't matter how much I take. After resolving the exploit action there, I put 1 exhausted token out. So the resources run out. So now I can only get 1. Even though I have an army of 3 in there, if I did it again in there, I'd get just 1. But I can continue to harvest this tree forever because it's an infinite tree. And if you have a look over here, you've got 1, so this is pick 1 territory, and this is pick 2 territories to resolve. So you'll just take this action and resolve the same exploit action in 2 different territories. Down here, everyone's got this Holy Shrine action. This is just gain the number of resources times the shrines you control. So for the Greeks, it happens to be food, but each faction has a different resource down here. But everyone's got the same action. And when you upgrade it, I think it's just... it changes the food into any resource. Any resource times the number of shrines you control. And then we can skip up to this one over here in action number 10. This is just gain some resources again. In this case, you're trading 1 resource for 2 of any other. Or rather, no, not exactly. You're trading 1 resource for 2 other resources, but none of them can be the same. So you could trade 1 food for a wood and an iron, for example. 1 gold for an iron and a wood, or iron and a food, whatever. So trade 1 resource for 2 others, but none of them can be the same. And on the reverse, it's just get 2 resources, but again, they cannot be the same. So this is going to help you with that. Over here, we've got the domination action, which I talked about before. This is basically move up that domination track by the criteria. In this game, it's by the number of settlements that you've built. So by default 1, because you start with 1, up to 5 steps. If you upgrade it, it's the exact same thing, but plus 1. So you just get 1 extra step. And then down here, we've got what's called settlement income. So when you build this, you're going to check your settlement track up here, and you're going to get income based on the number of settlements you build. So at the start of the game, it's 1 follower, then it becomes 2 followers, and then there's 2 points, 3 followers, and finally 5 points total if you've put out all of your settlements and you take that action. And if you upgrade it, then when you do the settlement income action, you're just going to get an additional follower. So it's pretty good. So those are your main actions there. Obviously, there's some incredibly important actions over here in the mana actions. We looked at building settlements is only available there. So if you want to build more of the settlements in order to get better settlement income, you're going to have to use this mana action. If you want to get upgraded actions, you're going to have to use this one here. If you want to get these advanced combat cards, you're going to have to get this one here. And I'll explain combat right now because I think we're done everything else. But it's worth noting as well that a lot of these actions are just available on the contracts. So you can see here, this contract requires a tree and 3 food to fulfill. So you can choose to fulfill it as your additional action down here. And then you will spend the tree and the food and you'll get the iron and the contract action. So you can take a replacement contract. And additionally, you'll get 4 points and 2 steps up on the trade track. Now, what you'll notice as well is that this one's got the Greek banner in the top left corner. So this is a Greek contract, so you're actually trading with the Greeks. This one here has the Egyptian banner, so if you're completing this contract, you're trading with the Egyptians. These 2 are the only 2 faction contracts in this game because those are the 2 factions in the game. If we had 3 or 4 players or 5 players, if you have the expansions or the Kickstarter edition, then you will use 5 sets of these. And there's also these generic contracts that are used in every game that don't have a banner. So you can turn these in no matter what. Like, you don't need to meet any special conditions to turn these in because they're just generic contracts, whatever. But if you want to turn in a faction-specific contract, then you must have control of one of the zones on their homeworld. And control just comes from having some guys there. So we can teleport a guy over there. Now we control a territory on the Egyptian homeworld, so we can turn in contracts with the Egyptian faction mark on him. Likewise, if the Egyptians want to turn in the Greek contracts, they've got to have a guy over here on my homeworld, because I'm the Greeks. But if you want to complete a contract that is your own, so you want to do trade with yourself, then you have to exist somewhere other than your homeworld. Well, actually, I'm trying to thematically describe it, but you have to be on Gaia. So I have to control a territory on Gaia in order to complete my own contracts. So that's a little sort of complicated wrinkle to doing the contract. And it just so happens that in our starting contracts here, the way they've fallen, we've got 2 Greek here and here, 2 Egyptian here and here, and 2 generics at the top. But there's a big old stack that's just been randomly put together during setup, and those will be immediately replenished the minute someone takes one. So combat is always resolved in the 4th step of a turn. So if we remember our turn structure here, it begins with you resolving your action star. Then you can take optionally one of the mana actions, optionally an additional action, which is always summon 1 god, minor or major, and complete 1 contract. Then you resolve all conflicts, and then you gain all culture tokens that you can applicably gain. So 4 and 5 are automated. They're not optional, like 2 and 3 are optional. But 1 is mandatory as well. Anyway, 4 is resolve all conflicts. A conflict will be always resolved if there is any territory that contains miniatures or figures from 2 different factions, they'll fight, or a ancient army and figures from a faction, in which case there will be a combat resolved. And resolving in combat's super easy. The attacker, now the AI is slightly different, so we won't worry about the AI for now, but they resolve their combat slightly differently. I mean, not much more simply, but if you're a human player, you need to have the red attack cards. So you will have had to take the mana action that gives you access to these cards, or acquired them another way, like through a culture token or a contract, for example. But you will have to get these, and you can pay a mana and 2 iron to take 2 of them, and when you buy them this way, you'll just take all of the deck here, you'll choose 2 that you want, and then you'll put them into your hand, which would be secret. These would all be secret if we were playing with real people, but, you know, I'm still on my own, so they're all open. But you want to bear in mind that some of these advanced combat cards cost iron to play, and specifically when it comes to resolving these battles, you must have a red card in hand in order to resolve the battle. So if I'd moved a follower over here and attacked the Egyptian player, and I didn't have a red card in hand, or I had a red card in hand but I couldn't afford to play it, I automatically lose the combat. So I must have access to an attack card, and I must be able to play it. And then, as we noted before, the combat cards all have different strengths on them. and different powers at the bottom. So let's say I play the Warhammer. If we're playing human players, everyone will pick one in secret face down. Now a human player who is on the defense can pick either a red card or one of their 2 blue cards if they want. The blue cards are called your core cards. They can only be played in defense and they always come back to your hand after you play them. Whereas the red cards, after you play them, will go back into this deck and need to be unlocked again. So, either through this action or other means. So you play these cards and we'll play them in secret, and then we'll all reveal them, and then whoever has the most strength is going to gain the territory and also the rewards shown on their card. Now you've got 2 sort of defense cards here. One is this shield, and you play this if you think you can win. It's got strength 4, so it's quite good, but it costs 2 wild resources to play. And then if you do win with it, you get a war token, a war track step, and a point, so that's good. If you don't think you're going to win and you want to play in defense and you don't want to play a red card, you play the slingshot, which has 0 strength, so you're basically agreeing that you lose. But then if you do lose, your opponent has to give you a resource. You steal a resource from your opponent. Resources in this game are limited and extremely valuable, so you really want to get those. So there you go. That's those are the 2 that always come back to your hand. And if you, regardless of whether you win or lose, if you played a red card, it always goes back to your deck and out of your hand, so you have to buy it again. But if you win, like I said, you get all the stuff on the card, plus also all of the losers' figures have to go back to their capital. So all of their figures are sent back to their capital. So not off the board, so it's not super punishing, but you lose control of that territory until you manage to retake it. The ancient armies work the exact same way, except you can see it's got a 3 to 5 on it. So underneath there's a number 3, 4, or 5, and that's the strength of the ancient army. And so you just have to beat that number. So you're basically making a gamble. But like I said, you must always have a red card in order to attack. You can't use the blue cards for attacking. Yeah, you want to go back out again? You're just going to want to come back in again. So I guess the final thing I'll mention here is that you've got your 3 different kinds of figures. You've got your little followers, and when you summon a god, your follower becomes a god. So, you get one of your minor gods out. It's going to replace the figure. The minor gods are 2 strength, so the followers are 1 strength. The minor gods are 2 strength, and that counts for combat. That also counts for gathering resources. So you can gather more resources quicker with the minor gods. And then the major god is 3. So again, a follower becomes the major god, and then now it's strength 3. When you get the major god as well, just like the minor gods, you're going to unlock power and also some cool stuff. So you've got here there's actually a passive ability on the top here, and this applies the whole game. So for the Greeks, if I'm on a planet, I'll gain a culture token no matter whether or not I'm adjacent to it. So I'll explain that. That's the final step of the turn after combats. So I'll explain that in a minute. But the bottom ability is a better version of it that I'll unlock when I put the god on the board. And then you'll notice as well you get a whole host of advancements up those tracks. So when I bring Zeus onto the board, if I manage to do it, I get 2 steps up the domination track, plus 1 step up each other track. Actually, I think that's the same for every god. So, that's pretty good. But he's also strength 3, so for the purposes of combat, you've got strength 1, 2, and 3 units. You need to be thinking about that. So that's why, for example, the ballista comes in, and this reduces all gods to strength 1. So if they've got 2 minors, instead of 4 strength, they're 2 strength. So the final step of the turn, after we're done resolving all those combats, is to resolve the culture tokens, and the culture tokens are collected if they are completely surrounded. So here, for example, we can use this guy actually, hopefully. That'll be okay. So here you can see this culture token here is being flipped face up, and that's because there's someone next to it. So the minute anyone walks next to the culture token, it becomes face up, but I have to completely surround it in order to gain it. And of course, I cannot completely surround this one without defeating this army. So let's say Egypt warps in from somewhere, they take out that army, they're going to gain all those bonuses. This is now completely surrounded in all 3 territories, so the token is going to be resolved during that culture step. And in this case, everyone's going to get the reward because everyone is adjacent to it, because it's a 2-player game. If it was a 3-player game, then, you know, just these 2 players would get it. Doesn't matter how many figures you have, so the Greeks have more, but they're not getting any extra bonus for the second figure. It just means they get the bonus, and so does Egypt. Now, in the case of Zeus's special power, this is specific to Zeus. If Egypt were to completely surround this one, Zeus would still get it because Zeus is on the planet. So Zeus just gets, you know, a benefit for being present there when these are resolved. Right, so the I guess just a few minor notes about the AI. Because it doesn't have combat cards, it's just gonna always roll this die. So whenever it would play one of those red combat cards, it just rolls this chaos die, which goes from like 1 to 5, I think, or it's 2, 3, 4, and 5. Is there one on here? There is. A 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So pretty swingy chaos die here for the AI. There is also the culture tokens. Whenever the AI gets one, it just gets 2 points. It doesn't really care about any of the bonuses on them. It can't really make use of them. So it's just going to get 2 points. It also doesn't have resources or anything. But basically the way it works on its turn is it's going to flip over one of these cards and one of these cards. And then it's just going to do what the 2 cards say. And that's just going to be a bunch of actions that kind of mimic how the human players work. So it's just going to be putting out guys. And it's got a huge system of priorities, which you can actually see on the back here. These are all the different actions it can take. They're all vaguely, you know, abstracted versions of this. And it's got all these, and the text underneath each action is a hierarchy of priorities. So I'll be implementing that as we go, as best I can, as quickly as I can. But, you know, otherwise it's going to be doing the same sort of stuff. So it's going to be building settlements and putting guys out and all that kind of stuff. And it's got this track down here that's going to be filling up. These fate cards as well have slightly different resource priorities on them. And this down here, which is called a strategy. So this strategy here for the Egyptians is known as mighty. So it's going to be doing the mighty strategy. And hopefully I've internalized these well enough to do this fairly quickly, but we'll see. Now, I guess the last thing I'll mention as well up here is there's a big pile of goodies, and you'll get to go into the goodies and have a goodie if you conquer Atlantis. So Atlantis is just one space, so there's just one goodie available for the first person to conquer Atlantis. If it's the AI, the goodies just disappear into the void. And it might get some points, I can't remember. I'll have to look into it. But they're really nice, so we'll be racing to get to Atlantis. In the 3 and 4 player game, you use the other side of this board, there's 2 Atlantis spaces, so slightly more of those goodies available. Other than that, I think that's everything. My turns, at least at the start of the game, are going to be super quick, so it's going to be mostly the AI. The other thing is, you always flip over the moon card for the AI, so it's face up, so you can kind of predict what it's going to do. But in advanced play, you actually get to pick which one you flip face up, so you have some idea about what it's going to do. I'll do that, but the idea is that you know these decks well enough to kind of understand what actions come in here and what come in here, so you can kind of make a strategic decision. I've played the solo mode once before, so I don't know them well enough to really benefit from that, but I'm going to do it anyway, just to demonstrate. So I guess let's flip over Sun, because I think Sun is more active. I think there's a movement and thing is on Sun. So let's see if it's going to do any kind of movement and whether it's going to be particularly aggressive on its turn. Well, so here we go. We've got here, this is going to tell us that it's going to move 4 units. So it's just going to move around its planet unless it's got a portal action. and then it's going to also exploit once. Does it have portal action on the sun, on the moon cards? Or is that on the sun cards? Oh, hopefully it doesn't say. Then we don't know. Anyway, the human player always gets to go first, and that's me. And what I'd like to do is get onto Gaia and start occupying Gaia as quickly as possible, because I really want to get that ancient army. And mainly, actually, also because if I'm just present on things, on planets, I get to have the culture bonuses people pick up. Like, so I just kind of want to be around. I think, you know, I think it kind of benefits me really to maybe go and do a little bit of exploitation. And then what I can do as well is I can actually upgrade the portal action and take a upgraded portal action immediately, and that's going to let me portal around 2 guys. Tragically, I only have 3, so I'll just have to portal those 2 guys. But I think I like that as a start. Sure, why not? So we take our pawn, which doesn't start on the board. We put it down here, and we get to do double exploit. There's only 2 lands we can exploit, so we're going to exploit the iron there, and there's 1 iron symbol. We have an army of 1, doesn't matter, we just claim this iron. And we'll exploit the tree as well. It doesn't get exhausted because it's our capital. We get 1 of those as well. So that's 1 iron and 1 tree. Oh, I can't possibly upgrade. I don't have any gold. Well, my entire opening move is now no longer applicable. So what am I going to do instead? Over here. Am I going to do any of these? Can I do any of these? I could build a settlement. I'm always usually pretty cautious about building the settlements. It's also nicer as well to build them onto planets that are not your own, because you start with 1 here, and when you place new followers on the board, they appear at a settlement, provided the settlement is not besieged. That's quite a technical scenario that doesn't really come up very often, but a besieged settlement is in a territory with other players. Yeah, settlements can never be destroyed once they're built. They're always on the board, and when you play your followers onto the board, they always appear at one of your settlements. And if the settlement is if the settlement's all on its own, you control that territory, it's yours. If there's another player there, then the settlement is besieged, and effectively they control it, and you can't use your settlement. And that's about it, really. Otherwise, they count as they count as controlling the territory, for the purposes of shrines and victory points and things. But what they can't do is exploit, because they don't have a strength. Unless you're the Vikings, and then they do. But don't worry about that. The point is, for us, they just don't do anything useful. I probably ought to do a different move down here, but do you know what? Never mind. We can't go back. So, should we build a settlement? I mean, it's just going to be there in that shrine space. But it does let us get more followers out quickly. And that's good. So yeah, why not? I'm going to do it. It's probably a terrible idea. So I pay 1 of these mana crystals and 2 wood. So you can see here the woods. We've started with 1 of each resource. I had 2 wood because I just gathered some extra. And now it's gone down to 0. And then I take my settlement from here and I have to build it somewhere where I am present that doesn't have a settlement. So I guess it's going here. Which seems like a waste. But hey, you know what? Life's too short to worry about that sort of stuff. So that's my mana action done. I can do a additional action, but I can't, I haven't unlocked any gods. I don't have a contract. So that's my turn over because there's no combat and no culture to resolve. So now it's over to the AI. So they're going to flip over their moon card here. And so they're starting with the cube action. This is unique to them. They just place a cube out here to sort of mimic doing that. And then they've got a second action, which I think is about progressing up these tracks. The Oracle action. Right, so in this case it's going to perform... So the Oracle action is something that comes in a bit later when we've progressed a certain way. So it's kind of like an action the AI does once it's been unlocked. But it hasn't actually unlocked it yet, so it's going to do what's called a domination action, which is, I think, where it uses the domination track. Why is the domination literally not here on the player aid? No, I rely on the player aids. Yep, so the domination action is advance up the domination track, and depending on how it's depicted, it's either a specific number of steps, it'll show this symbol here with a number, and if it doesn't, if it shows something else, then it's by this criteria. So actually the AI gets to step up once because it has one settlement. So it'll move up to here, and that means it gets to claim the shield. First come, first served, so it's going to get 2 points. So that goes out the game. And the AI moves up to 2, and now I'm already losing. In case it was unclear, I just have to get more victory points than the AI, and also it wins ties because it's a jerk. So that's the Oracle action. Now it's going to do movement 4. And it's got quite a complex hierarchy for how it likes to do movement, but we will remember that movement is only on your planet. So let's have a look and see how it wants to move around on its planet. So its strategy is mighty. Oh yeah, I forgot. When it moves, it actually doesn't care about spaces though, does it? But it's not a portal action. So it's going to move actually by its resources criterion. So in this case, it's going to move towards the criteria, which is the resources shown here and the arrow shown here. So the arrow is pointing to the right. So in this case, we're going to start at this end and move down the track. So the priority is food, gold, iron, and wood. Finally, wood. So we shall move towards food and the one with the most resources, and then finally we choose. Yeah, so I think it can't actually really do 4 movements because it's never gonna. It never leaves a territory uncontrolled. So what it's going to do is it's actually going to take one of these guys and teleport him up here. And I think it'll move this guy out of its base as well. Because it can't be invaded there. So keeping them there. Well, I guess keeping them there are useful for exploitation. Right, because it's got one piece in each territory. Oh, between units and settlements. Yeah, so because it's got 2 pieces here, including the settlement, it will move this guy. And then it will move it to this one here because it's food and it has the lowest strength. So that's its criteria. Now, because it's got 4 move, but it's only been able to move 2 guys, it gets free followers instead. So it gets 2 followers, which appear at settlements. In this case, that settlement, because it's the only one. And that's that resolved. So now it's going to do the exploit action, and that's very simple. It's just going to exhaust a resource. It doesn't gain any, so it's just there to mimic a player gathering resources as well. And in this case, it's going to target food again, and it's going to exhaust this food up here because there's lots of it. So that's its turn done. These 2 cards are resolved and removed. And now we can choose one more to turn over. I think I want to see the Sun card. That feels more impactful again. So in this case, it's doing 2 more steps up the domination track. So if I don't get 3 steps, I'm going to lose that second 2-point marker, which is a pity. But I also don't know how I'm going to get 3 steps up there. I mean, the criteria is actually settlements. So theoretically, I could get 2 steps up. So I've got more settlements than the AI. But 2 step ups is not 3, and I need 3. to get those points. And I can't even upgrade it. I can't take it and upgrade it because I'd be on it. So really, this is all very upsetting for me. But I think I'm just going to have another my turns are very quick. And they don't get much longer over the course of the game. But I think I'm just going to jump up to here, because that's going to put out a summoning cube here, which is always a good thing. And that's going to give me my settlement income, which is 2 more followers. And we can set them out here in the newly built settlement that we built, because, you know, that's a good thing. Maybe we can gear up and attack that ancient civilization or something. I don't know. We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out as we go. So I can do a mana action. I've only got 1 stone, though. So I could buy attack cards. I could buy attack cards and we could go attack that ancient civilization next turn, actually. That'd be pretty good, wouldn't it? Maybe. Then I'd have no more mana, and I'd be sad. I'd also need to go to a move action, and I'm quite far away from the move actions at the moment. But I suppose we could jump over here, do the move, and then go down here and do a portal next turn. And then we'd be 2 cubes into getting our god, which would be nice. Sure, let's do it. So we'll spend this. And 2 iron. And that'll get us 2 of our attack cards. And we'll need to take 1 here that doesn't have an iron cost, because I don't know when I'm getting more iron. So the dagger's really nice because it doesn't have an iron cost, and it's 2 step-ups on the war track, as well as 5 victory points, which is great, but it's only strength 1. So this would give me a strength 4, which would be risky. Now attacker wins ties, which means that this would be the best card to play if that's not a 5. But if that is a 5, then this would be a complete waste of effort, and I would be sad. So, yeah. And what I'm going to do is... do I risk it? I'll tell you what. I see some questions in chat, so... I think Haggers has hit the bricks. But, Michael, what do you think? Should we take the dagger and risk it? Also, he says, is area control big in this game? So I'm going to keep my review for the end of the stream. I can't really do a proper review, I think, because I've only played the game solo twice, and I've never played it with real people. I'm actually playing this because this was the Patreon choice for the streaming. I wanted to get it to the table with actual real people before I did this, but I haven't had a chance, and I didn't want to put it off any longer. So I'll probably come back and maybe do an update when I've had a chance to play it with some actual people. But I do think that the territory control is important. It depends on your strategy, right? Because primarily where it's coming in is the scoring here and also the resources, because you're kind of pushed. The resources in this game are super duper tight, and you're kind of pushed together as the resources are exhausted. So once these areas start running out, you need to move out and get more. But it's quite expensive to do the combats. Like, getting the cards is expensive, playing the cards is expensive, and you can't attack unless you have these, otherwise you just automatically lose. So yeah, it is important to capture and control territories, but there's not a lot of conflict over it. It's kind of, or at least it hasn't felt like that in the solo mode. It's felt more like a sort of a straight up race to get points, or to capture spaces, and then just a few key spaces changing hands at critical moments. Well, if nobody's going to pick a card, I'm going to gamble on the dagger because I'm a big sucker. I'm going to take the dagger, and I'm going to take the short bow as well in case I change my mind, because I'm too broke to use any of these other cards. So that's my mana action. I still can't take an additional action, so that's me all done, and now it's time for the AI. So we flip this over, it's doing its cube action again, and now it's doing a portal action. Oh boy, it's already gonna go. It's gonna go and take Gaia, like, immediately. I'm just gonna be so sad. So, it's first going to identify a territory. It's going to go to Gaia because it will always prioritize going to Gaia first. So it's going to pick one of the 2 territories adjacent to Atlantis. And out of those 2, I don't know if it is... how it will pick between them. I think because they both have the same number of resources, I just pick one. So I pick the one I'm least interested in, which is actually this one. Oops, sorry guys. Which is actually this one down here, because it's got iron and wood in it, and I have access to those more easily, wood especially, than the other 2. So it's going to take this guy here, because he's the only one that's in a space with more than one guy, and he's going to teleport him over here, and that's the portal action. Now it gets 2 steps up on the domination track down here, so it's just crushing me at that, which is kind of alarming. The thing is, the AI tends to be pretty steady in this game. Like, it just goes at a steady... It goes rapidly, or it feels like... it feels like at the start it's going rapidly because it goes at a pretty steady pace. So it's up to you to sort of build up and then catch up. Anyway, that's 2 more points for it. And then its final action is exploit. Once again, it's targeting food, the food space with the most resources, so it's just continuing to deplete the territory up here. So that's it. That's the AI done. These cards are discarded, and now it's back over to me. I'll take a look at this one again, I guess. Yeah, it looks like move is on here, or was move on here before? Yeah, it looks like move is on the sun cards and portal's on the... So let's see if it's going to do a move. It's probably not going to attack Atlantis because Atlantis has a baseline strength of 6 to 8, and it doesn't have enough, right? I mean, theoretically, it could get to 6 with this die, and if Atlantis is also 6, it could then win because attacker wins ties, but that's so unlikely, and it's got a criteria for when it'll attack, so we'll have to check the criteria. Anyway, it's one more step. It's just prioritizing the domination track, basically. So if I don't work on that, I'm going to be in trouble. But anyway, that's the end of that. It's back to my turn. So we said that I was going to go and jump over here and get some movement, didn't we? Let's do this one, just because... Oh no, I need this one because I need to move all 3 units in. Or else I'm probably going to lose. So, oh, that gives me 4. Yeah, 4. Yeah, that's right. So we attack with all 3 of these guys into the ancient territory. And we play our card, which is the dagger, which is risky, but we want big points. And we hope that that's not a 5. Please don't be a 5. Please don't be a 5. Please don't be a 5. Ah, it's a 4! Oh, and that's special power? Do you know what that means? I think that means... Oh, wait, what does that mean? God, I hope that means don't use the special ability on your card, and doesn't mean ignore the strength on your combat card. I didn't know that was a thing. Oh, please, please, please. Yeah, so if we had used a card with an effect, for example, the ballista, it wouldn't be applicable. That cancels the card's effect. But the numbers, the strength, and the rewards still count. So, we're both on 4, which means we've won. The gamble paid off, huzzah. And we get to have the rewards shown at the bottom here, which is 2 wood and an iron. And the rewards shown over here as well, which is 2 steps on the war track and 5 victory points. So altogether, why have I done this now? Sorry, I completely skipped over like my mana action and my additional action. And I think the reason I did that is because I don't get them. I've got no mana, so I can't do a mana action, and I don't have any additional actions, and then the next step is war. I wasn't clear about it. Sorry, guys. So we would have, of course, waited till the war step to resolve this, and if you have multiple combats, you can choose the order they resolve in, but, of course, I've just jumped straight to this for the sake of expediency. So let's go ahead and grab our benefits here. So that's 2 wood and 1 iron. It's going to be 5 victory points, putting us in the lead temporarily, I'm sure, and 2 steps on the war track as well. Good job. This card has to return to our war cards over here, and this ancient civilization is removed from the game, but we're going to keep it because of Ares endgame scoring criteria. Normally wouldn't need to, but Ares means that we need to do that. So that's good, actually. I also forgot about Ares, but so that's good. Yep, that's the end of my turn. So it's back over to the Automa. So they're starting with another cube action. They don't normally do this so rapidly. So they've got a cube action here. They've got their followers action. Now, they do... Do they... Oh, I think the followers action summons them differently. Yeah, so it must... yeah, it must still... They must summon them at the settlements. So because he's built no more settlements, there's a whole hierarchy in case he's got more than one settlement, but he doesn't. So there's just going to be 3 more followers here in his home territory. There we go. And then it's got this advance action down here. So this is advance one of these tracks. And it's actually just pick the track where it has the highest multiplier. Now in this case, the multipliers being these guys, right? So of course you must match the steps in order to get up here. Sorry, meet the steps. So I'm on ×1 for the war track. Next step will take me up to ×2. But its second, if it can't advance on the track where it has the highest multiplier, the next level would be the one that's furthest back. Because they're still all tied, it's actually the bottommost marker is its tiebreak. So there we go. It advances that guy. So that's that one resolved. Now this one's just one more step up on the domination track here. When it looks like this, it is 1 step. When it looks like this, it's 2 steps. And when it's the domination action, which is we haven't actually seen, but the oracle action becomes that. It's according to the criteria, which in this case is settlements. But this is just 1 step, and that's its turnover. So a nice short turn for the AI there. I still don't really know which one of these I want to see, so I'm just going to flip this sun one. So he's going to grab a contract. When he does a contract, he just picks whichever has the most points on it, and just gets that many points. That's how he does contracts. And then he's going to do 2 more exploits. That's fine. I'm mostly concerned at the moment about him taking over Gaia, or rather killing Atlantis before I can do it. Because A, I want the tokens for defeating the ancient civilizations, and B, I want the cool artifact, because these are really powerful and cool. And I don't want the AI to delete them. So, it's back to my turn. I was going to do portal action. I think I'm still going to do that. So I think we'll just move down here, which puts out another summoning cube. And we'll do portal action, so we're just going to take one of these guys from our big army up here. We're going to head out here. Now, something I've forgotten to do is when the AI actually appeared here, it should have flipped this marker, which is a contract action, so everyone will get a contract. And now that I've appeared here, we'll flip this marker as well, which is move a cube action. I don't know what the AI does. Oh, the AI doesn't resolve these. It just gets points, 2 points. But move a cube means I can actually take a cube from my board, move it to any other space. I'm still allowed to cross back and forth here. That's fine. I'll just not put any more cubes out. But moving a cube lets you is more useful towards the later game when you've unlocked a god, for example, and you want to take one of those cubes and move it somewhere else, where it's going to help you unlock another god. So not super useful early doors, but that's fine. So that was our portal action. We still don't have any mana. I probably should get some. And I have no additional actions, so that's my turnover. It's all done. Maybe I should have gone to... there's a lot of things I should have done. But we can't go back. We have to move on. So it's back to the AI. Oh, the cube action again. Alright, so two things happen now. Is this resolved as part of the cube action? I think it is. So what we're seeing here is that the AI actually has a symbol here. So when it places the cube, I think it immediately resolves that symbol, I believe. It's not even listed on the player aid, so I think there's probably someone who's made a really good AI player aid for this. Right. Yes, exactly. So we do that right away. And in this case, what we've covered up is summon a god, summon a minor god. So it's going to summon a minor god. And in this case, it's going to be in its capital because it has the most pieces there. So one of its followers becomes a minor god. And for the purposes of the AI, this is just a strength 2 piece, and that's all that matters. And then we're back to the Automa. Now it's going to do the Oracle action. Because it's got 4 cubes down here, it's unlocked the actual Oracle action, which means it's just going to move up one of these development tracks, and it's going to be the one that it's highest on. So, bloop. Oh, it's according to the... Hang on. Yes, that's it. No, hang on, I'm lying. It performs an action based on the goal of the development track. So in this case, it's going to do the goal tile here because it is highest on this track. So it's going to perform 2 portal actions using its mighty criteria. That's really bad for me. Not at all happy about that. I flipped over the wrong card. I spied the wrong card. So, it's going to portal. It's going to portal to Gaia. So it's looking for an uncontrolled territory with a sanctuary. So actually it's going to take its... bear with me here. So sanctuary are the... I called them shrines. They're these guys here. So it's actually... I'm pointing at these guys here. These ones. So it's actually coming to me. It's going to come and get my sanctuary because I have an uncontrolled sanctuary on my planet. I'm not sure how I feel about that. I don't think I care, but maybe I should. So it will move this guy here because he's got the highest strength and he's in a territory where there's more than 2 things or more than 1 thing. So that's it. So his minor god appears here on my planet and takes control of my sanctuary. Thanks, bud. And that reveals this, which is a point and a combat card. So strictly just better than that other one. Rude. So that was portal action number 1. Portal action number 2. So it's not going to go to it's not going to go to Atlantis because it doesn't have enough strength, or rather, it doesn't have enough movement and enough strength to get in there. It wants to have at least 4, so that's good for me, I guess. But what this does mean, if I control an area with a sanctuary, it's actually going to come and take my... It's going to take my settlement, which is also rude. Apparently, I guess because it's prioritizing the shrine's action, so it's just going to take a guy and put him in here because I have no army there and it wants to take my sanctuary away. So that's just rude. So now I have to go and do that. Ah, rude! So anyway, that's its Oracle action done. Now it's going to do contract action. Oh, this is a big turn for the Automa. I need to catch up. So it's going to take any of the 4s because there are 3 4s, it takes the one that's closest to the top left corner. So it just kills this contract and gets 4 points. Rude. And then a new contract is immediately revealed. I think it also gets a step up on the contract track. I'll just double check that, but I'm confident that it does. Yeah. Yeah, based on the contract as well. So actually, it gets 4 points and steps up twice here. I'm gonna lose. Otome, you're embarrassing me on my live stream. Right, and that was its contract action, and now it's just doing exploit twice. It's prioritizing food again. So it will start with the food up here on its homeworld. And then its second exploit is still prioritizing food. So actually, stop using up all the food, you jerk. So it's going to do this one here. And that's the end of its turn. So we can get rid of these cards, get out of here. And then we can flip this one over. Or any card we desire. We so desire. Alright, back to my turn. Alright, I'm very tempted to just kind of keep going around my circle. But it's also tempting to go up here to move and maybe like try and kill his guy. The thing is, that guy, I'm talking about the guy at my settlement, he could be strength 2 or he could be strength 6. I can be 5 though, because I've got a short bow which is strength 3. But actually I can only get 2 movement if I want. And it's a pity. I'd quite like to get the culture token. Oh god, I don't know what to do. It'd also be nice to exploit, but we still can't get gold to upgrade actions, which would be ideal. So I'll tell you what, let's go over here. We'll head up there. That means we put this out. We've got 2 movements. So we get a mana gem. We can't really do much with it because, well, we could build a settlement, I guess. Yeah, actually, building a settlement would be a good shout, I think. Oh, actually, if I exploit... Hang on. If I exploit, I can get 2 gold and upgrade something. And then I could... What could I upgrade? Portal, more exploit, or food. Food is really only useful for this action here, creating followers and completing these contracts. Most of them want food. But the contracts are nice. But we like upgrading actions because it just gives us more stuff to do. Better stuff to do. Oh, dilemma. Right. Let's do... Yeah, okay, let's do exploit. I don't know. Maybe it's a terrible idea. That gives us 1 more here. And then we're not too far away. We're 3 actions away from getting our god if we want. And then we get to exploit twice. So what we've got going on here is on Gaia, we've actually got a guy with food and gold. So if we had an army of 2 in there, we could actually have 1 of each and then exhaust 1 of them. Because we've got 1 guy, we just pick 1 and exhaust it. So we're getting the gold from there. Because then we can do an upgrade. Except we don't have a mana, so we can't. Oh, that's an oversight. Well, we can't go back again. I can't keep changing my mind. And then we can have... Let's get 2 iron. We can have 2 iron from this territory up here. So that's pretty good. So 2 iron as well. So that puts us actually up on 3 iron. So we've got a nice little chunk of resources here, and I don't know, hopefully we can do something useful with that. I'll figure it out. Next time, because I don't have any mana, don't have any actions, that's all me done. I'll tome time. So flip this over. Oh, cube again. Racing the end game. Alright, now it's the Oracle action again. So he's actually just doing the Shrine action again. Right? Yeah. So it's just performing the portal action twice, again, but it can only perform it once actually. So there's no uncontrolled territories with a sanctuary. So that's fine. So now it would go to Atlantis, but it can't summon enough strength to get to Atlantis. That's its next challenge. So the one after that is adjacent to Atlantis if it doesn't already control it, but it does already. Oh, if it doesn't already control Atlantis, yeah. So he's going to take one guy and send him over here. I think. Yeah, and then because he can't do the second move, because he doesn't have enough people on the board, he gets one more follower out here. And so that's him done for now. Now he's doing another contract. So he'll pick, again, one of these 2 down here, actually. In the case of a tie, it's topmost, leftmost. So that's this one. So 4 more points. Yikes. And 2 more steps down here. I guess he's just really prioritizing that track there. We can replace that one with a new contract. And finally he's going to do an exploitation. This time he's prioritizing forest. So he's actually just going to delete this one over here on the Gaia world. That's the only forest where he's present. Good. That's AI done. Not as big a turn for the AI this time. Next turn it's going to be summoning a minor god and exploiting 2 things as well. So, not great news for me. So, I've got a lot of I've got quite a lot of things going on here. But what I don't have are any shrines. So this action is basically useless. I say I've got nothing going on. What am I talking about? I'm kind of stuck. And for some reason I'm just really focused on getting Zeus out. So I think I'm probably just going to keep focusing on that. So with that in mind, we can either go up here and get more followers, so we're on a track to go around this way. Or we can go up here and move some people around, potentially attacking him as well. I don't know. I think probably getting more followers out is better. So, why am I focusing on Zeus first? I should have got Hermes out, really. I should have focused on I should be focusing on the little gods. It just feels bad that I haven't, it just feels bad that I haven't done it yet. Falling behind. So, this would get me a minor god. But it doesn't really help me. This is utterly useless. 3 steps for Zeus. 3 steps for Zeus. Sure, let's just do 3 steps for Zeus. Let's do it this way around. So this up here gets us 2 more followers. And that's going to be it. That's going to be our whole turn. Sad. Probably not very optimal. More portal actions. So it needs strength 4 to get into Atlantis, so it can't do that. But what it is going to do is teleport this guy over here. Sorry, teleport this guy over here, continuing. It's almost ready to attack Atlantis, which is real bad, because I'm not. And I was hoping I would get there first, but I don't know if I will be able to. I'm actually 1, 2, and 3 actions away from Atlantis. From attacking Atlantis and winning. I think. I think I'd win. But I don't know about the AI. And then because it can't perform the second teleport... Oh, it can. It's got another guy. Yeah, so it'll put him in as well, actually. So the next time it moves, it's just going to go into Atlantis. And actually, it's about... Oh, God. Okay, and now it's going to upgrade one of its guys down here into a minor god as well. I'm not going to have time to go in there, am I? So now it's doing exploitation. It wants to keep exploiting food, but there's none. So then it's going to do gold, which is over here. And then it's going to do... after that, it's going to do iron, which is actually the last resource it can exploit, I think. Oh no, there's wood as well, but iron first. Okay. So that's its turnover. Now, movement is on the... I don't think it needs teleport 3 to attack Atlantis. So movement is on the sun cards, I think. So let's check its sun card. And if there's not movement on there, we have at least 1 more turn. Okay, so there's no movement on there. And I don't think this is going to have teleport 3 on it. So I think we've got time. So I'm going to jump up here, which just gets one of these out, and just gets me 2 step-ups on the domination track down here. And that's it. I'm not doing very well. But maybe I am. Maybe once Zeus comes out, maybe it'll all work out. Please don't have movement. Oh, it does have movement. God damn it. Jeez. Alright, so here... This is on middle difficulty, by the way. There's 4 difficulties, and this is on difficulty 2 of 4. So these 2 cubes come out. That's halfway through the game already. I'm not ready. So this is again another contract. It's going to be the highest point contract, which is this guy now. So it's another 4 points, and 2 step-ups down here. And that comes over here and is replaced. Oh my god, that's a really good contract. Right, now it's got movement 2, which fortunately is not enough to attack Atlantis, because it can't get 4 strength in there with movement 2. It's only got... It can only, at best, do 3, so it's not going to do that. So let's have a look and see what else it's going to do. It's interested in territories I control with sanctuaries. There's none. So now it just wants to move into uncontrolled territories. Which seems like a bad idea for it, because it's going to actually... Oh no, it can actually just teleport. I forgot. Yeah. So once it's on a planet, it can move around pretty freely. It doesn't need to worry about steps. So that's fine. So it's just going to do that, I think. Oh, no, it'll go out with the guy with more strength. And then according to the resource criteria. So it's going to do that. And it's going to do that. What I did actually. So there we go. It's going to take those two. And then it's moving up the domination track again. And then it's doing an exploit. And it's going to keep exploiting food. Apparently it hates food. So that one's coming down here. Oh, and actually we also get to see what this culture token here is. We should see them all. So that's a step up on the domination track. And this one here is 2 mana. That's actually really helpful. Only I was on his planet. So now it's my turn, and I guess I'm doing 3 movement primarily because I want to get Zeus out. So we'll go over here. We get to drop this guy in here. And now we resolve this action, which is 3 movement. So now the question is, how am I going to get... I want to attack him, right? But if I do, I think I'm not going to have enough... Oh, can I... Yeah, okay, I can... Yeah, okay, I can do this. No, because yes, I can do this. So I can do this because specifically of that culture token. So here's what we'll do. We've got 3 movements, so we'll send 2 troops in here, which is going to be fine on most accounts. And then I think we'll send one of these troops into here. So unless he rolls a 5, we're going to win that combat. But also what this means is we're going to be able to resolve that culture token and get a combat card back, which is what we need. So the next step is mana actions, but I don't have any. And then we can do additional actions, which we do actually have now. We can actually summon Zeus. So Zeus is going to appear somewhere where we've got a follower. So we're going to turn this follower over here into Zeus. And that's good. And then it's combats. So we're going to play our short bow in here, which gives us 5 to his 1. But of course he gets to roll the chaos die. So here's hoping he doesn't roll too high. It's a 2! So that's good. So he's got 3 to our 5, so he is defeated. So what that means is his little guy is sent back home. And we get to have 1 step up on the war track. And also 3 victory points. What are we on? 5? Hooray, we've got half of his score. And the short bow is done. And now that combats are resolved, we're going to do culture tokens. Oh, this one should be revealed as well. I don't know why I haven't... Oh, I have revealed that one. I'm going out of my mind. So, this culture token here is gain a combat card and have a point. So that's what happens to us. For him, it's just 2 points. So he goes up 2, we go up 1, and then we get a combat card back, and we're just going to take our short bow back, I think. I mean, we could take, actually, the ballista. How much iron do I have? I do have 3 iron. Is the short bow's just better, though. I mean, it's not better. The ballista's straight better, but the short bow has better stats on it, right? Like, the ballista has got 1 step on the war track and 2 points, but the short bow has 3 points. So it's just a point better. And we don't need more than 6 strength to take Atlantis, so I think we're fine with that. I'm just having a look to see if there's something... I mean, actually, we could take the double axe, and the reason to take the double axe is, although it costs an iron, it's got 2 steps on the war track, and we could use all the help we can get. So let's take the double axe, because we've got 3 iron. So that's fine. We'll take that. And we got that from our culture token. And that's the end of that. So, culture tokens resolved, so it's time for the AI. Oh, I didn't flip over a token. A card. I should have revealed an AI card and I forgot. Alright, that doesn't look too bad. Let's see what he's doing. Okay, so again, it's another cube, which is another minor god. So the minor god's going to appear in here. Yeah, in here. He's got so many money. He's got so... and then it's a portal action. So I think he's just going to portal this guy over here. And then it's 2 step-ups on the domination track, which is another 2 points for him. Uh-oh, uh-oh. And then it's one of those question marks, which I think is his... is that his highest multiplier? Yeah, so another step up here. So he's actually only 1 step up from ending the game on that track. Which is kind of wild how that's worked out. I'm really surprised how that's worked out. I don't remember the AI beelining towards ending the game this quickly in my other game with the AI. Fortunately, this card... But maybe that's all the... Maybe it's just the way the cards fell. We don't know. Anyway, his next card is that one. Which is good, because I think that means we get to take Atlantis now. So what we'll do is we'll head over here, and we'll pop down here, and we'll stick this guy out here. And that gets us 2 movement and also a mana crystal. And with our 2 movement, let's go ahead and take one of our guys here. And just journey over here, because we're going to get another culture token. Actually, let's... That doesn't really matter. We're going to get another culture token, which is nice. And then our second movement is going to be to send Zeus into Atlantis. So, fingers crossed that that works out. But now it's our mana action, so remembering we need 1 iron here. So I think I probably want to do upgrade something. I could upgrade the portal action. I don't really want to do... I'll tell you what, I actually don't really want to do a upgrade just from... I don't want to upgrade either of these, basically. So I'll hold off on upgrading. So let's build a... Let's use our mana here to build a settlement. Because that's just going to start getting us points. Once again, I don't really have anywhere good to build it. I should really build it on Atlantis, but I can't yet. So... Damn. But I do think it's worth getting it out. Yeah, let's just put it up here. Just to get it out. We've got 2 more we can build. If we can get the wood. Alright, so that's our mana action. So then it's our optional action. We can't summon a god. We still don't have a contract. Apparently I don't believe in them. So, that's fine. So then it's time for conflicts. And we've just got this 1 conflict up here. We're going to play the double axe. We have to pay the iron cost. So that's 1 iron there. To play the double axe. And now we're on 6, so we flip this over. Oh, this could be 8. Oh my god, I've completely miscalculated. I've completely miscalculated. What did I do? I built a settlement, right? Alright, screw that. Hang on. Let's upgrade teleport. So that gives us, so I spent 2 gold instead of the 2 wood. I put the settlement back. I get 1 step up on the technology track for upgrading a technology, and I can teleport 2 guys. So I'm going to take these 2 guys, and I can't move them into Atlantis, though. You can't teleport into Atlantis. Sugar. I really borked it. This is my greed with the double axe, you see. tell you what. The easiest thing to do, actually, is to stick with this terrible choice here. And so just put the settlement back out. And we'll just say, instead of taking the double axe, I took the catapult. Which is much more sensible. I'll spend an extra iron to do that. Simply forgot. I simply just can't math. I was like, their maximum is 8. Their maximum is 6. I don't know why I thought that. Anyway, here we go. This will be nice and easy now. Yeah, so they're actually 8. But it's fine, because we're 8 as well now. I mean, if my brain had been more switched on, that would be a no-brainer to take the catapult, because we had the iron, and we weren't going to lose it. So that's good enough to defeat them, so we get 2 more iron back, we get 1 food, we get a step up the war track, and 2 points. Not nearly the bonanza we would have gotten for the battle axe, but, you know, it's necessary in order to actually win it. And now I've basically painted, I think, a bit of a target on our back because the AI, it doesn't like it when we do things like this. Or rather, when we control sanctuaries, it wants to take those away. But that's fine, so now we can resolve this culture token here, which is 1 combat card for us. Now I really don't know what I want here, because I've got iron. I want points. Get me points. The Warhammer is good, but it's weak. The Warhammer gets you 3 step-ups on the war track, which is great. But, and 4 points, which is also good. But it's expensive and low strength, right? Ignore your... Sometimes I think these tokens as well might have... Oh yeah, they do have special rules on sometimes, and if you have the catapult, it lets you get around that. The catapult is like the strongest card, but it's expensive, and it's high strength, but it's low reward, right? So these cards are always kind of gambling the benefits of rewards versus strength and whatnot. Let's I've got a fair amount of iron, but I guess I'm doing war track now, which kind of works with the settlements I'm building, so we should go ahead and take something that's going to help us in the long run. So let's take the dagger, because... No, let's take, not the dagger, the Warhammer, because it's high reward, and I do need more iron, though, and resources are becoming scarce. No, we'll take the Warhammer, that's fine, because I think we can plan that so we can get benefit out of it. Although now we have to fight either that, Ancient Civ. If we can get that and get Ares out, that'd be great, but, yeah, I might go for that. Although, on its mighty category, actually... On its mighty category, the... I think the brave one prioritizes those more. The ancient civilizations. The mighty category prioritizes the shrines, or the sanctuaries. Anyway, right, so that was combats. I've no... Oh, no, that was culture tokens, actually. We've done that one. We have one more to resolve, actually, which is this one. So the AI didn't get any points for that, because it's all me. But it will get points for this one, because it's actually mostly the AI on me. So it's 2 more points for the AI, and I'm going to get to pick one of these contracts to have. So let's... Is there any I can just kind of fill? I have 2 food. Alright, I quite like this one up here, actually, because that's just 2 food and 1 other. And then I can have an iron and another combat card. No, I like this one down here. I need to be on its planet, but that's fine. I like this one down here because it's 3 mana. So I'll take this one. Not very profitable token, though, but that's fine. I need mana. It's been a while since I've had a mana action. So there's a new token there. And that's all of our culture resolved. So that's the end of it. Time for the Automa's turn. Oh, it's building. It's building sanctuaries. For its settlements. Building settlements for the first time this game. So, right, it wants to build on Gaia. And it's going to build on Gaia in the forest. But that doesn't include exhausted stuff. So, iron, no. Gold. So it's going to build one here, actually. Oh, sorry, guys. So it's built one here. And now it's going to gain its income, which is 2 followers. And it's going to put those followers. One here. And then one here. Because that one had the lowest strength first. And then this one because there's the most resources there. So that's that done. So now it gets to advance up the technology track. And then it gets to advance up the domination track. And that's its turn over. Nice, easy turn for the AI there. Let's go ahead and see what it's doing next. Uh-oh. Uh-oh, it's ending the game. It's going to advance up this track and trigger endgame. Jeez. Well, I guess I'll continue with my plan then. This is the shortest game ever. So I'm going to go... this has been a very short game with this. I'm going to jump down here, which lets me pop this out. This one comes out here. I get 2 teleport actions. So I'm going to teleport... this guy and this guy. The question is, where are we going? Right, I think I want to do some war. I need to get this sorted out, really. But this was a better move for me, unfortunately. Can I... Is there a... Oh, no. I needed to... Oh, the contract. If only I could have completed it earlier. I've picked exactly the wrong contract because... I'm going to get 3 mana, which is worth Bupkis endgame scoring. Because I thought I'd have a turn to use it. Wild. Well, I guess we might as well go and try and take out that ancient civilization. Can I teleport straight in there? And then, but can I summon a minor god in there? Can I just summon a minor god in there and do straight up combat right in there? I think I can. Which would be cool. Yeah, I don't see why not. So, let's teleport these 2 soldiers in here to fight the AI's ancient civilization. And that's our teleport done, so now it's our mana action. Oh, we could do movement, but there's not any point. And we can do harvest, but again, there's not much point. But that would give us a step up development, which again, there's not much point. We can't... So, I'm just... The only thing we can really do, actually, we should do is summon more guys. Because we'll get 3 guys out, which is 2 points. And then we can't complete this, which is actually a point. Which is actually... No, that's actually worth like 3 points. So, we should do that instead. Which means actually all we can do is build a settlement. Which isn't really worth anything. Or we can upgrade an action, which isn't really worth anything either. That's a bummer. But there are resources available at the end of the game, so... I can't believe how quickly the AI ended the game. That's wild. I feel like I must have done it wrong, but I definitely haven't. Must just be the way the cards fell. Crazy. Right, so I guess we spend this mana and 2 gold. And then we can upgrade either of the blue actions. So that's movement or exploit. Movement's not going to help us at all. So it might as well be exploit. Which lets us exploit 2 tiles. Resources are points at the end of the game, but it's like 5 for 1. It's not a very good ratio. So... where do we get the most resources? I don't think we're allowed to exploit over here. So... Actually, it's evens. So we'll take a gold and a tree, just because I don't have any. Not that it really matters. It's pretty wasteful to be exhausting these when I don't have the full complement of soldiers, so could have had 2 gold here, could have had much more wood here, but the game's gonna end, so it doesn't matter. And that gets us a step up here, but unfortunately that's also kind of... Well, I mean, actually, that's put us in the lead here, and I did actually just now forget that there is points for being in the lead on these tracks, so that's not completely pointless. I will have one more turn, actually. I forgot. The AI is going to end the game, and then I get one more turn. So, we'll see if we can come up with something useful to do on that turn. But that is the end of my mana action. My optional actions here, I'm going to spend these 2 to complete the contract. So that gets me 3 mana tokens. I can complete the trade with Ra because I'm on his homeworld. I get 1 point, and I get 1 step up on the trade track. So that's points on the board. So actually, maybe I should have gone down here. Or built a settlement. But, anyway, that's fine. So that's done. And we can summon a god as well. Yes, I totally meant to do this. So we can summon a god. You can do these in any order. The complete a contract and summon a god. So we're summoning Ares because he's got endgame scoring. And he's going to appear over here. So now we're 3 in there as well. So that's pretty cool. So he's 2 points for every one of these tokens we've got. So that's going to be 6 points, I think, which is nice. So now we've got to do warfare. So that's 2 iron to play the Warhammer. So we're on 5. So we can't really lose this unless there's some horrible rule on this token that I haven't foreseen. No, it's just a straight 4. So that's 4 there. So that's nice. Nice little benefit for us. We're going to get 4 points. So we're on 12. That puts us on 16. And we're going to get 2 step-ups on the war track. Which is, 3 steps on the war track, actually. That's really nice. God, we're quite close to ending the game ourselves. Except we can't get here because we're still all the way down here. And then also an iron and a wood. So that's good. Right. And that's, there's no more... Oh, there's a culture token as well. So the culture token comes out. That's 2 points for the AI and 3 resources for us. Oh, I don't even know what to take. I think probably a gold, because then we can do that action again. And then I guess just a food because I don't have any and I can't think of anything else to take. Right. Culture token's done. And that's the end of that. And that's the end of my turn. So, AI's turn. AI's final turn. It's beginning with a cube out here. Then it's summoning 3 followers. Thank God it hasn't advanced up the war track at all. Then it's going to advance its highest track, and it's up here, so it can just trick this up here, which triggers endgame. Which is wild. And that's the end of its turn. So, I don't need to flip over one of these, because it's not going to have another turn. That's crazy. Okay, my final turn then. What can we do to get the most points? We can jump to any of these actions. We've got lots of mana. So, I feel like this is quite good because it gets us 2 more guys on the board. How many have I got now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 2 more gets me to 9, which is nice for this. But another conflict or another step on the war track would also be nice. But this would also be good too, because then I can at least try to get away from these negative 4 points here. And that's actually worth 3 steps. 1, 2, 3. So this is worth 3 points. I can reasonably actually upgrade that though, and then that would get me to 0 here. So yeah, I mean, if I jump over here, I get the settlement action, which puts 2 more guys on the board at my settlements, which is fine. Doesn't matter where they end up because I'm not planning to do anything with them. And then for my mana action, I can actually upgrade this token here. So that's 1 mana, 2 gold, and then 1 more of each of these. And we get to flip this guy, which gives us 2 steps on the development track. And also gets us the domination action, which is per settlement on the board. So that's 4. No, 3. It's 3 plus 1 because it's now upgraded. So that's 3. 3 plus 1, so that's 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I think that's the best we're going to do there. And then it's either of these actions, but we don't have any gods and contracts. There's no warfare left. There's no culture. So that's the end of it. It's into endgame scoring. That was over so fast. I can't believe how quickly that was over. Okay, so now there is the AI usually gets 5 points if it triggers endgame via the cubes. I don't know if it also gets 5 points if it triggers endgame via reaching the end of its track. So let me have a quick look here. Actually, I also wonder, can it trigger endgame via this way? Yeah, it can, absolutely. Yep, and it only gets the 5 points if it triggers it by placing its final cube. So we're just straight into final scoring because it just reached the end of a development track. So the first thing is positions on the development board. So here it's going to be 5. And I guess, do you get 2 points if you come second, but you don't have a position on the track? Doesn't say. So it just says first and second place. So we'll say yes. So that's 4 for me and 2 for the AI. The next track is again 4 for me and 2 for the computer. The next track is 4 for the computer and 2 for me. And that's that. We don't score this one. It's just these 3. And then it's multipliers and goal tiles. So up here, I'm going to get 3 times 9. Well, 3. So 9 divided by 3 is 3 times 3. So that's 9 points. So I'm on 26. So that takes me up to 35. The AI gets nothing because it didn't make it onto the track. Over here, it's territories. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 7 divided by 2 is 3, times 2 is 6, so that's 41. And the AI's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Divided by 2 is 4, times 1 is also 4. It's on 32, so it goes up 36. And then over here at shrines, where the AI's just destroyed me. I've got... Actually, no, the AI's only managed to get 3 shrines. I've also got 3. I've got 2 here and 1 here, but my multiplier is 1, so I get 3 points. So I'm up to 44. The AI has 3, but its multiplier is 5, so that's 15. It's on 36, so it goes up to 51. Oh dear. And then it's the domination track where the AI has got 2 more, and I've got 0. And then it's the goal cards, so that's... Sorry, the God cards. So that's over here. I've got 6 points because I've got 2 for each of these. I've got 3 of them. So that puts me up to 50. Oh, it's close. And then finally, resources. The AI can't get anything for resources. This is total mana crystals and resources. 1 VP for every 5. I've got exactly 5, which is 1 point. And that's it. So the AI has won by 2.51 to 53. Oh, damn it. Well, that's the end of the game. And I didn't win. But actually, it's not as bad as I thought it would be. Logan, thanks for watching, man. Sticking through to the end. It was actually... I was really caught off guard because the other game I played against the AI went right up to the end and it was like twice as long as this. So that ending really caught me off guard. But I mean, it's... I'm not... So... Did I remember to move up all of the tracks? Oh my god, I've completely forgotten to use all of Zeus's powers. I think I summoned Zeus and I was so obsessed with getting into Atlantis, I totally forgot that now I get to double every culture bonus, and I think I actually forgot to move up all the tracks as well. I'm not going to go back and retro it because at the end of the day it doesn't really matter, but I suspect that would have actually swung the game in my favor. And if I forgot to do it, you can all see on the video and then you can go and know that I won the moral victory. But it's quite a lot to parse, especially on a live stream. The actual actions of the AI, they do become kind of second nature, but the movement is really particular because first you have to identify a territory, and then you have to identify a unit. And also you have to follow its particular strategy, and it's slightly different if it's a move action or if it's a portal action. So like all of the AI actions are really straightforward and simple, with the exception of the movement, which is really quite complicated and particular. And I'm sure I made a few mistakes with it during the game as well. I'm pretty confident that I did make some mistakes. I must have, because it's just quite a lot. And it's not really handily laid out anywhere. So like these little charts at the back here are actually really helpful for everything except for the movement and the portal. And see, you can see that those two have their own page here. So this is movement and portal here. And that's the shorthand for it. And then everything else is half a page for more than 4 times as many actions. So, Yeah, it's just kind of a shame that those two are so complicated, because otherwise the AI is actually pretty straightforward and pretty simple. But unfortunately, it's just like, because your actions are so fast and quick, it's a pity that the AI's movement and portal actions are so complicated, because it really takes away from what is otherwise would be quite a clipped game. Do you enjoy it? I just snuck in 5 minutes ago, so I just caught the end, Logan says. So, yeah, it's hard for me to review, because fundamentally, you know, I haven't played it with people, and that's what I'd want to do. But I'm not sure. I think, you know, it feels a bit like it's not. So it's obviously very Euro-y. So I think the answer, Logan, is, in short, I'm not sure. I don't think so, but I want to give it a bit more time, because I don't think that's a totally fleshed out opinion. I've only played it solo twice, and as far as solo games go, it's not my first choice anyway. And when I do play solo, I prefer sort of, if I'm going to play a solo Euro, I'll almost always go to something like Spirit Island. This just doesn't feel like it was intended to be a solo game. And I think that the AI, it wasn't a solo game. It's a solo mode attached, and as far as it goes, I think it functions okay. It could be worse, but I think that the movement and the portal actions let it down. I also think, like, the AI's fate cards, I mean, functionally, I want simplified AI. I much prefer this to... Like, this is sort of halfway towards what I like. I like Gaia Project. If I was going to play some Euro game that was trying to be a sort of more... Like, I just can't imagine ever picking the solo mode of this over the solo mode of Gaia Project. Because Gaia Project is the same kind of sort of Euro crunch, with the same kind of sort of positional considerations, but the AI in that is so streamlined and so simple, and I spend all of my time really just deliberating over what I'm going to do for my turn, which is where the crunch is. But here it's kind of inverted. Like, here your turns feel very streamlined and very quick, which I think is actually going to be a real benefit to the game with other players. But in a game against the AI, it means I'm spending a lot more of my time actually parsing its turn than I am managing my turns. And, you know, in this particular game here, I probably didn't do quite enough with the contracts. I didn't do quite enough with the mana. But also, I think if I'd played Zeus correctly, I probably would have won it. So maybe that was fine. But the AI doesn't actually seem to have any intelligence around choosing when to end the game, which is also, I think, a little problematic for it, because it could just end the game by accident and lose, and that's not very satisfying. I do want to try it with real people, because I do think that I like the shortness of the turns. I actually quite like how certain elements are restricted, but I'm a little concerned about how hard to come by the resources are. Like, you can see here, we've exhausted a lot of resources, and I haven't even done very much, you know, and the resources become increasingly competitive over the course of the game. There is a few little tricks that you can do. You know, you've got this one here, which gives you resources for sanctuaries that I never used in this game. This one here that lets you trade one resource for two, and I didn't use either of these or upgrade them. So there's tricks for getting resources there. I've also got a god power, Athena, who lets me generate resources at my settlements, and she's a lightning power. So we didn't see any of the other minor gods, because I didn't get any of them out. But when she comes out... Oh, I didn't get my... no. I didn't get my Step Up the War track for Ares either. I forgot to trigger all of my god advancements. So that was a dumb thing I did. So caveat that. But Anyway, yeah, so this produces one resource at every settlement I have on the board, so that's another way to get resources. But, you know, by and large, the resources feel really hard to come by. And so it feels like, you know, a euro with quite... Like, you know, I always think about euros in two terms. They're either euros of abundance, like resources and things are quite plentiful, and you're like, what am I going to do with these resources? You know? The game is in trying to decide how to spend the resources you've got. Whereas the other kind of euro, everything's really tight and scarce, and you're trying to work out the path to getting that thing that you need. And this definitely falls into the latter camp, right? It's like the actions and the resources are scarce, and you've got to optimize the hell out of them to really figure out what you're going to do. And that doesn't really sort of fit well with the theme, which is like godliness, right? Like, I don't know much about Anunnaki. I was talking to a friend of mine who was saying it's some kind of conspiracy about how the gods are aliens and they're going to come to Earth and, I don't know, liberate us. I don't know anything about that. But, you know, what I understand the premise of the game, which is that the mythic pantheons are gods that live on other planets, and then they visit worlds and possess the people there and try to convert them into followers. That makes sense. And so in this one, we're competing for territory and for followers on the planets. Fine, but in this game, I never feel exceptionally powerful. And even in the other game, where I got all my gods out, I sort of maximized that kind of potency, I still never felt powerful. I also forgot to take an artifact card. I've done a terrible job. I don't know why. This game has completely wiped my brain. I should show you guys these. When I took Atlantis, I should have had one of these cards as well. So these are all really powerful. This one is called the Scarab Amulet. It lets you, during final scoring, you just pick 2 tracks of your choice and move up a step. So this is when you're behind, or if you want to maximize your multipliers, you can use that. You've got this Tablet of Destinies. It says when you take this Tablet of Destinies, secretly choose a development track with the Destinies token, which is one of these tokens up here. And then you gain points based on the multiplier reached by the player furthest ahead on the track. So that's that. I could have picked that and just got a bunch of points for getting destroyed on this track down here. And then you've got Cornucopia here as well, which triggers as an additional action. You can discard the Cornucopia to gain 4 resources of the same type, or 8 point. No, you pay 4 to gain 8 points, or you can gain 4 resources of the same type. So I could have had one of those cards as well. Totally forgot to take it. Yeah, Logan, the lore is quite cool actually, and the box actually comes with, so the core game comes with Egypt and Greece and Norse and another one. I'll check for you. And then if you've got the Kickstarter edition, you've got 2 more factions, which I've forgotten as well. Let me just check here. If I can. So it's like, it's a cool theme, but I'm a little concerned that it's just going to be kind of, I don't know, someone called Ishtar. I actually don't know who this is. But Odin, Ra and Odin and Zeus are the 3 ones I recognize. And Ishtar, who I don't recognize at all. And then in the expansion box, you've got Japanese gods. That's like a sort of a more complex faction, which I played in the solo game. That was quite cool. And there's another faction as well. But you can only go up to 5 players. So you've got 4 in the core box. And then you've got one of the expansions gives you a 5th faction and pieces to play 5. And then a different expansion gives you that the Japanese gods faction, the kami and stuff, which is pretty cool. So thematically I like that, but you never feel like a sort of a dynamic, powerful god race. And it's kind of a bummer that, like, for example, those cool artifact cards I just showed you, at best 2 players are going to get 1 each. Actually, at best, one player's going to get 2. But there's only ever going to be 2 of those in play, and they do feel really strong. So I think you'd have to really bully the player that got it as well, because they'd have a stonking great lead. Yeah, I think I'm gonna. I don't know. I think I'll probably have to. I like what I like about it is I like this. I like the decision space of getting the mana, trying to unlock the gods. That feels good, you know, or it feels crunchy and interesting. Prioritizing this, and like I said, I like how quick this can go. You know, at best on your turn, you're getting 3 actions, right? One, your main action, 1 mana action, and 1 action for completing a contract with an action on it. You know, I don't think any of the culture tokens have like big actions. At best, the culture tokens give you like combat cards, or they might let you take a contract, but that's about it. Whereas the contracts have, you know, this simple here, which is just take another blue action, take a red action, move your guys around, portal around, so they've got the bigger actions on them. But even the actions are by and large quite quick to resolve. So I like how sort of quick all of this could potentially be, and how quickly you could move between turns, theoretically, because I haven't played with real people, but what I don't like is how scarce everything is, and how potentially difficult it could be to sort of bully a runaway leader, and it feels like it might just be at the cost of your own score as well. I also just I'm not sure about the combat either. That feels like it could be, because you don't know what other people have taken, because of course these are face down and people put them in their hands face down as well. So you don't really have a whole lot of information to go on for this. I do like that there's some lack of determinism to the combat. We were just talking about recently we were talking about the combat in Voidfall, you know, which is another sort of similar game in the sense that it is 4X, or it masquerades as 4X, but it's very Euro, and the combat in that is 100% deterministic. So nobody's going to do it unless they're sure they can win. So they're sort of mathing everything out in advance. Whereas, it becomes like a bit of a stalemate where nobody wants to get into combat range until they're confident their army is going to beat the other army. And so you get this real sort of chicken, what's it called? Mexican standoff? Mexican standoff, maybe. Or this game of chicken, you know. Whereas here, at least there's some hidden information, so you're not really sure what everyone's taken, and but I think you're probably more incentivized to sort of pick on territories that are less well reinforced, and also with the portal action, that's quite easy to do. There's not a lot of good ways to protect against the portal action. But I think I'm just getting into theoretics here because, like I said, I just haven't managed to play it. So it's interesting enough and compelling enough that I want to play it with real people, but I'm not convinced I wouldn't rather pick something a bit more dynamic. Like if I want a Euro-y 4X, wouldn't I pick Eclipse? If I can't play Eclipse because I don't have time, wouldn't I pick, I mean, there's so many good ones. I mean, I suppose they're not all 4X, right? Inish springs to mind. I don't know if that's technically 4X because there's not really resources in it. But you develop spaces. But it still has a similar kind of feel of guys on a map. Expansion, discovery, that's all there. Extermination is there. I'd probably rather play Mezzo, which is a really interesting dudes on a map game. But this isn't really dudes on a map, right? So if you're sticking specifically to 4X. Eclipse is so good. I love Eclipse. obviously Twilight Imperium, but that's even longer than Eclipse. That's so long. And the one thing this has got going for it over those two is that it's a lot shorter, right? Even Voidfall, which is actually quite a strong parallel to this, is much longer. And I am struggling to think of something that is potentially as quick to play as this. Although with real people, especially if they're getting really sort of heads down into the crunchiness of it, I don't know how quick it would actually play. I reckon with 3 or 4 people that were really across it, you could probably get this done in 2 or 3 hours. Maybe even less. But it's just a guess. There's got to be more 4Xs. I don't know why my brain's gone so mushy. But anyway, it's probably the same mush that made me forget about Zeus's power. Logan says, I just played a 4-player game of Voidfall, and it was 5 hours or so. Yeah, I mean, Voidfall is like a long game. I think you could possibly get Voidfall down to like 3 hours if you were like really across the rules, like if everyone knew the rules really, really well. And it's going to be dependent on the scenario you pick as well. But like we played Voidfall for the first time with 3 players, and we went all in. We did the advanced rules. We didn't play the beginner scenario, but that took like 5 hours. That was really long. Well, I think that's probably going to wrap this up for Anunnaki for now. Intrigued to play with actual people. We'll try to get it to the table with real people. But so far, it's okay. But I can't imagine picking it over... I don't know why Terra Mystica and Gaia Project come to mind, but I think it's because they've got that sort of point salady thing where points are coming from everywhere. You're getting some points during the game and some points at the end. And so they feel kind of like crunchy Euros, but they also promote a sense of there's a sense of space and territory that you're doing as well. Obviously, those games don't have direct player conflict, which this does technically have, but they do. It is a very similar feel, but those games are top notch. So, if you're competing in that field, I mean, Gaia Project is much heavier than this, I think. Terra Mystica is less heavy than that. I don't know if this is on par with Terra Mystica. Maybe it is. But this is not actually all that heavy. You can probably teach this relatively easily, I think, to people who are sort of familiar with game mechanisms. So I think that's a point in its favor. Oh, we've got off-topic questions now. So I'll wrap this up, Logan, after I've answered your final question. Are you continuing RE1? I just discovered your channel through that series. Oh well, I'm glad you you found the series, and yeah, I will continue RE1. I'm enjoying making the show. Let me put it like that. The game is fine. Like it's. I had low expectations, and I think it has exceeded my low expectations. But that's not saying much, because Steamforged did it. But I love RE1, and I'm enjoying making the show, and I think it's quite exciting to watch. I think people are quite enjoying it, so I will continue that when I can get back to it. But I wanted to, like I said, I wanted to do Anunnaki because this was what the patrons voted for, and I'm just bummed out I couldn't get it to the table with actual people to give a bit more of a rounded opinion on it. But I do think these artifacts are really strong as well. I think conquering Atlantis might be really, really strong, because you get the artifact, you get the token, you get the 2 sanctuaries, you're in place for all 3 of the culture tokens in the center as well. But I mean, if you've got more players, this board expands a lot, it gets a lot bigger. So well, I mean, it doesn't get a lot bigger. The board's technically the same size, but there's extra spaces. So Atlantis, there's 2 of them. But I mean, if you could somehow conquer both of them, well, then I guess you've won and everyone could put the game away. But they shouldn't have let you do that. But yeah, I'm going to wrap this up here then. Thanks everyone so much for watching. I hope you got something out of the video. I'll give an update on Anunnaki when I've had a chance to play it with real people, I think. But in the meantime, if you've played anything 4Xy that I should have mentioned or that feels like Anunnaki that would make a good comparison, let me know in the comments down below. And I'll definitely chime in if I've played the game too and what I think about it. And I'll see you all in the next video. If you thought this was helpful, you can throw a like down on it. That always helps as well. Thanks everyone so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye for now.